The first strike on the remote moon of Varia, far from the crowded human colonies, a team of miners uncovered an ancient alien artifact, buried deep beneath the surface, untouched for millennia. At first, it was just another discovery, a relic, from a long-forgotten civilization. But what they found was no ordinary piece of history. The artifact hummed with an energy far beyond the capabilities of human technology, its surface adorned with strange symbols and patterns that no one could decode. The news spread quickly, reaching Earth and the Galactic Council. The discovery of such an artifact was both a marvel and a threat. The Council immediately issued an order to secure the artifact and prevent any unauthorized research. But as is often the case, human curiosity and ambition overrode caution. Group of researchers, driven by a thirst for knowledge, ignored the Council's command. They activated the artifact, unleashing an energy pulse that radiated through the galaxy. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Across the galaxy, star systems far beyond the human colonies experienced sudden, unexplained disturbances. Ships lost communication, navigation systems failed, and entire fleets were thrown into disarray. The artifact had not merely been an object of study. It was a weapon, one that could shake the foundation of the galaxy itself. The Galactic Council, now aware of the severity of the situation, mobilized its fleets. Their first wave, sent to Varia, was swiftly destroyed by the artifact's pulse, which only grew stronger with time. The Council's leaders, once confident in their ability to maintain control, now found themselves faced with an unknown and uncontrollable force. The power unleashed by the artifact threatened to destabilize the fragile peace that had existed between the various galactic civilizations. On Earth, the human leadership was thrown into chaos. The Council demanded answers and accountability, but the humans were not willing to surrender so easily. President Eleanor Hayes addressed the nation, warning of the looming threat from the Council and its allies. But beneath the official rhetoric, there was a growing realization. The discovery of the artifact had set in motion events that no one could control. Captain Alana Drayton, a respected officer within the Phoenix fleet, was called to action. She had seen the fringes of human space, where lawlessness and danger often lurked. But this was different. The Phoenix fleet had been designed to defend, not to conquer. Now, it would be humanity's last line of defense, and its purpose had changed. The forward Hercules, the fleet's flagship, was humanity's most advanced warship. Equipped with cutting-edge technology and powerful weapons, it was the symbol of human strength. But as Captain Drayton gazed at the dark void of space from the bridge, she knew the path ahead would be treacherous. The fleet would need to be ready for war. They could not afford to fail. The fleet's orders were clear: to protect Earth, to defend humanity's place in the galaxy, and, if necessary, to strike first. The stakes were higher than they had ever been. The Phoenix fleet began its journey toward the galactic core, where the forces of the Galactic Council were already massing. The first strike would come soon, and with it the fate of humanity. As the fleet moved out of Earth's orbit, the weight of the mission settled over Captain Drayton. The galaxy was vast, filled with powerful and ancient civilizations. Yet humanity, with all its flaws, had ignited a fire that would not be easily extinguished. And now, the question was simple. Would humanity survive the storm they had unleashed, or would they become just another forgotten chapter in the galaxy's long history? The countdown had begun. The first strike was imminent. The future of humanity hung in the balance. The tide of war, the Hercules, flagship of the Phoenix fleet, cut through space as it headed toward the galactic core. Captain Alana Drayton watched the fleet as it moved in unison, its ships gleaming in the cold dark. Each ship carried the weight of humanity's future. The journey was long, and the unknown loomed ahead. The artifact's power had already shaken the galaxy, and now the Galactic Council was mobilizing its forces to eliminate the threat. Humanity's strike had ignited a war. Back on Earth, panic spread. The human colonies were vulnerable, their communication networks failing. President Eleanor Hayes struggled to unite humanity, knowing the war that loomed was inevitable. The fleet's mission was simple: hold the line and fight for survival. As the fleet entered enemy space, the first attack came without warning. A pulse of energy shattered the silence, and enemy ships emerged from the shadows. The Council's fleet, larger and more advanced, opened fire. The Hercules and the Phoenix fleet responded, unleashing everything they had. The first exchange was brutal, but humanity fought with a tenacity born from desperation. The Hercules took heavy damage, but it remained in the fight, pushing forward even as the enemy closed in. Captain Drayton's orders were clear: hold the line at all costs. Despite the enemy's overwhelming strength, the Phoenix fleet fought fiercely, using every advantage at their disposal. The battle was far from over, but humanity had proven that it would not go down without a fight. With the fleet severely damaged, but still operational, Drayton knew this was just the beginning. The true test of humanity's survival had begun, and the stakes had never been higher. The fight for the galaxy was now fully underway. The cost of defiance. The Phoenix fleet limped through the void, their ships battered but not broken. The Hercules had sustained critical damage during the first battle, its shields nearly depleted, and the hull pocked with craters from enemy fire. But Captain Alana Drayton, standing at the helm of the flagship, understood the cost of failure. Humanity was at war now, no turning back. The battle with the Galactic Council's forces had been fierce, but it was clear that the Council had far more ships, more resources, and far greater firepower. Every engagement had cost them dearly. The Phoenix fleet was outnumbered and outmatched. Yet, in the heart of each crew member, from the commanders to the enlisted, was a singular belief: survival at any cost. The fleet had successfully managed to retreat to a remote sector in the galaxy, a cluster of uninhabited moons where they could regroup. The Hercules and the remaining warships were undergoing emergency repairs, their systems pushed to the limit, but time was not on their side. The Council would soon pursue them, and when they did, the humans would have no choice but to stand their ground. The war was escalating rapidly, and every passing hour brought more danger. On Earth, President Eleanor Hayes addressed the planet, rallying the people. The public was growing restless, the once optimistic belief in their fleet's capabilities beginning to waver. News from the front lines was grim. The Council was relentless, and the fate of their colonies hung in the balance. Humanity's victory in the first battle seemed distant now. The stakes were no longer just about an artifact. They were about survival, pure and simple. Within the Phoenix fleet, Captain Drayton and her senior officers held strategy sessions, planning their next move. They had learned a brutal truth. The Galactic Council had prepared for this. Their fleets were vast and well-coordinated, equipped with technologies humanity had only begun to understand. Yet, the humans had an advantage: resolve. They had fought for every inch of space, and they would fight for every inch of their future. The decision was made. They would push forward and engage the Council's forces again. But this time, it would be different. They would strike first, using what little advantage they had gained. The fleet would fight a guerrilla-style war, hit fast, hit hard, and disappear into the darkness before the enemy could retaliate. The moment of truth came swiftly. The fleet re-entered enemy territory, the Hercules leading the charge, its weapons, systems recharged and ready. The first engagement was brief but intense. They hit hard and fast, causing significant damage to one of the Council's smaller fleets before disappearing into the asteroid field. It was a small victory, but it proved something crucial. Humanity could still hold its own, but the cost was high. Several ships in the Phoenix fleet were lost in the skirmish, their crews left behind in the unforgiving cold of space. Each loss sent a ripple of grief through the fleet, but the officers knew they had no choice. Every sacrifice made brought them closer to their ultimate goal: survival. As the fleet continued their retreat into deeper space, Captain Drayton couldn't help but reflect on the enormity of the situation. They had struck a blow, but the Galactic Council's response would be swift and unforgiving. The true cost of defying the Council had only just begun to reveal itself. Humanity was not just fighting for the artifact or for control. They were fighting for their very existence, and it was a fight they could not afford to lose. In the endless dark of space, the Phoenix fleet had learned one undeniable truth: victory would not come easily. With their resolve tested and their path uncertain, the fleet moved forward, knowing that the next battle could very well be their last. Shadows of the past. The Phoenix fleet, battered but not broken, drifted deeper into the abyssal expanse, a desolate region of space filled with the remnants of ancient civilizations. The battle had taken its toll, and Captain Alana Drayton knew. Their resources were dwindling. The fleet had to regroup, recover, and prepare for what was to come. The Council's response had been brutal, and humanity's guerrilla tactics were becoming less effective as the enemy adapted. In her quarters aboard the Hercules, Drayton studied intelligence reports. The Council had learned quickly, and the ice stakes were rising. The artifact, once thought of as merely a catalyst, had become central to the war. Humanity's survival was now at the mercy of this escalating conflict. On Earth, President Eleanor Hayes struggled to maintain public confidence. The losses were mounting, and the reality of a long, drawn-out war began to sink in. But hope was not lost. The resilience of humanity had always been its greatest strength. Back in the Expanse, the Phoenix fleet devised a plan to bait the Council into a trap. They would lead the enemy into the dense debris fields, where their movements would be harder to track. In a series of surprise strikes, the fleet would hit fast, then disappear into the darkness before the Council could retaliate. It was a risky strategy, but humanity had no other choice. As the fleet positioned itself, a strange sense of unease settled over Drayton. The Expanse felt like a graveyard, a reminder of forgotten wars. The artifact had become a symbol of something far bigger than just a war for survival. It was a key to something older, something hidden deep in the galaxy's past. The Council's fleet soon appeared on the horizon, exactly where they had anticipated. The trap was set. Humanity's fate, and the future of the galaxy, would soon be decided in the shadows of history. The unseen enemy. The Phoenix fleet struck quickly as the Council's forces entered the abyssal expanse. Ships maneuvered through debris fields, launching precise attacks on the enemy. Captain Alana Drayton watched as the Hercules and its allies struck hard, then faded into the shadows. But as the battle raged, a new threat emerged from the dark. Cloaked Council ships, hidden in plain sight. The enemy's stealth technology had caught the Phoenix fleet off guard. What had started as a successful trap quickly became a disaster. The cloaked ships launched devastating torpedoes, and the battle turned chaotic. The Council's response was swift and overwhelming, forcing Drayton to order a hasty retreat. The Phoenix fleet pulled back into deeper space, trying to escape the Council's relentless pursuit. Some ships didn't make it. The losses were heavy, but the fleet still lived. The battle had been brutal, but humanity's spirit remained unbroken. Back on Earth, President Eleanor Hayes faced mounting pressure. Humanity's resolve was being tested, but there was still hope. The war was far from over. As the fleet regrouped, Drayton couldn't shake the feeling that something darker was at play. The artifact wasn't just a key to survival. It was part of a much larger, more dangerous mystery. Humanity had only begun to uncover the true cost of defiance. The heart of the storm. The Phoenix fleet, battered and diminished, was now on the edge of the galaxy. Captain Alana Drayton stood at the helm of the Hercules, eyes fixed on the unfolding battle ahead. The fleet had retreated deep into uncharted space after their narrow escape from the Council's ambush. The enemy was relentless, and the Phoenix fleet's resources were stretched thin. But they had one last chance. The Council was preparing for a final assault. The fleet had been forced to take refuge in an ancient, forgotten region of space, an area known for its deadly anomalies and hidden dangers. It was here, in the depths of the unknown, that humanity's future would either be forged or erased. Intelligence. Reports had confirmed the Council was closing in. The fleet couldn't afford to wait any longer. The artifact, a symbol of humanity's defiance, was their only leverage. They had no choice but to use it. But even Drayton had to admit, no one truly understood its power. As the fleet moved toward the center of the anomaly field, a strange phenomenon appeared on their sensors. The fabric of space itself seemed to warp and bend. Something ancient, something far older than the Council or humanity, was stirring. The anomaly had been dormant for eons, but now it began to pulse with energy. The artifact had triggered something the Phoenix fleet could not have anticipated. The anomaly was alive, and it was reacting to the artifact's power. The first ship to enter the anomaly's core was torn apart in an instant. The Hercules and its fleet were next. As they neared the heart of the storm, space itself seemed to distort around them. Time seemed to stretch and warp, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. The Phoenix fleet was on the brink of discovering what lay beyond, but in doing so, they were also risking everything. Drayton's orders were clear. Push forward. The fleet would fight with everything they had, but the true battle was no longer just against the Council. It was against something far older, far more powerful. The galaxy's secrets were beginning to reveal themselves, and humanity was at the center of it all. As the fleet moved deeper into the heart of the storm, the Council's forces closed in. It was now or never. Humanity's fate rested on the edge of discovery and destruction. The battle for the galaxy had reached its final stage, but no one knew what would emerge from the depths of the unknown. In the silence of space, the storm raged on, and humanity had no choice but to face it.